I woke up pumped for the music festival, but everything went to shit real fast. My phone buzzed with a text from Brian. "Dude, I'm puking my guts out. Can't make it." It read. "Fuck," I muttered, typing back. "Want me to stay?" "Hell no. Go have fun." I sighed, grabbing my keys. The White Stripes were headlining. No way I'd miss that. Halfway there, my car made a noise like a dying whale. I pulled over, popped the hood, and got to work. Good thing I knew my way around an engine. An hour later, sweaty and oil-stained, I finally made it. The parking lot was packed, forcing me to leave my car miles away. I pushed through the crowd, aiming for the beer tent. Just as I got my drink, some asshole slammed into me. "What the fuck?" I yelled, looking down at my soaked White Stripes shirt. Little did I know, this fuck-up was about to change everything. "Shit, I'm so sorry," the guy who'd crashed into me said, his eyes wide. I looked up, ready to tear him a new one, but the words died in my throat. Blonde hair, blue eyes, and a sheepish grin that made my anger evaporate. "It's fine," I grumbled, trying to wring out my shirt. "Wait, you're into the White Stripes, too?" he asked, eyeing my ruined tee. "No shit, Sherlock. Why else would I be wearing their merch?" He laughed, a sound that made me forget about my wet shirt for a second. "I'm Tommy. Let me make it up to you. I've got a spare in my bag." I hesitated, but fuck it. My car was miles away, and I wasn't about to miss the show because of a wet t-shirt. "Lead the way, Tommy," I said. We found a quiet spot, and he handed me the shirt. As I peeled off my wet one, I caught him checking me out. Or maybe that was just wishful thinking. "So," he said as I pulled on the dry shirt, "you here alone?" "Yeah, my buddy bailed last minute. You?" He grinned. "Just me. Want to grab a drink?" I nodded, thinking maybe this festival wasn't going to suck after all. Tommy and I grabbed our beers and headed towards the main stage. The crowd was wild, but we managed to find a decent spot. "So what do you do when you're not ruining strangers' shirts?" I shouted over the music. He laughed, leaning in close to answer. "I'm a car sales manager. You?" "No shit. I'm a mechanic," I yelled back. His eyes lit up. "For real? Man, we've got to talk shop later." As the night went on, we danced, drank, and yelled conversations about everything from our favorite White Stripes songs to the cars we'd worked on. It felt like I'd known this guy forever. During a slower song, Tommy leaned in again. "I'm glad I spilled that drink on you," he said, his breath hot on my ear. I felt a shiver run down my spine that had nothing to do with the cool night air. "Yeah, me too," I admitted. Our eyes met, and for a second, I thought he might kiss me right there. But then the crowd surged, pushing us apart as the next band took the stage. "Come on," Tommy grabbed my hand. "I know a quieter spot." As he led me away from the crowd, I couldn't help but think this night was turning out way better than I'd expected. Tommy led me to a couple of rocks away from the main crowd. The music was still audible, but we could actually hear each other without shouting. "Man, I haven't had this much fun at a festival in ages," I said, settling onto one of the rocks. Tommy nodded, his knee brushing against mine as he sat down. "I know what you mean. There's something about tonight that just feels different." The air between us felt charged. Maybe it was the alcohol or the adrenaline from the show, but I suddenly felt brave. I placed my hand on his, half expecting him to pull away. He didn't. Instead, he moved. "I know we just met," Tommy said, his voice low, "but I've never clicked with someone like this before." First, my heart was pounding. "Yeah, me neither." Then, before I could overthink it, Tommy leaned in and kissed me. His lips were soft, and he tasted like beer and possibility. It was like fireworks went off in my head. When we finally broke apart, we just looked at each other for a moment. I wanted to say something, but words seemed inadequate. Just then, Tommy glanced at his watch and cursed. "Shit, my ride's here. I gotta go." "Wait, what about—" I started, but he cut me off with another quick kiss. "I'll see you around," he said with a wink, then disappeared into the crowd. As I watched him go, I realized I'd forgotten to get his number. Fuck. I sat on that rock for a while after Tommy left, replaying the kiss in my head. The festival was winding down, but I couldn't bring myself to leave just yet. "Fuck," I muttered, running my hand through my hair. How could I have been so stupid? I patted my pockets, hoping I'd miraculously find a scrap of paper with his number. Nothing. I still had on his t-shirt, but that was it. As I made my way back to my car, I kept an eye out for him, but the crowds were thinning, and there was no sign of Tommy. In the car, I banged my head against the steering wheel. Stupid, stupid, stupid. I grabbed my phone and called Brian. "Hey man, how was the show?" he asked, sounding better. It was. "Fuck, Brian, I met someone." "That's great. What's her name?" "His name is Tommy," I said, then launched into the whole story. When I finished, Brian was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Let me get this straight. You met a hot guy, had an amazing time. He kissed you, and you didn't get his number?" I know, I'm an idiot." "No shit. What are you gonna do?" I sighed, starting the car. "I don't know. He said he's a car sales manager in the city, but it's a big city," Brian finished for me. "Yeah, fuck." As I drove home, still wearing Tommy's shirt, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just let something special slip through my fingers. A few days after the festival, I was still kicking myself for not getting Tommy's number. I'd driven by every car dealership I could find, but no luck. I was grabbing some groceries when I spotted a familiar blonde head down the aisle. My heart raced. "Tommy," I called out, moving towards him. He turned, and for a split second, our eyes met. But before I could say anything else, a girl came out of nowhere and kissed his cheek. "We're ready to go, babe?" she asked him. I froze, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. Tommy's gaze swept over me like I was a stranger, and they walked away together. I abandoned my cart and bolted out of the store, my mind reeling. Back home, I called Brian again. "He has a girlfriend," I spat out as soon as he answered. "What? How do you know?" I explained what I'd seen at the store. "Shit, man. I'm sorry," Brian said. "Maybe it's not what it looked like." He looked right through me, Brian, like he didn't even recognize me. "Want me to come over? We can get drunk and talk shit about him." I sighed. "Nah, I'm good. I thought we had something, you know?" After hanging up, I looked at Tommy's shirt, still hanging on my chair. With a growl of frustration, I shoved it into the back of my closet. "Lesson learned," I muttered to myself. No more falling for strangers at festivals. Little did I know, the universe wasn't done with me and Tommy just yet. Weeks passed, and I tried to put Tommy out of my mind. I threw myself into work, fixing cars and trying not to think about the guy who'd kissed me and then ghosted me. One day, my boss walked in, jingling a set of keys. "Hey, need you to deliver this car to a dealership across town." I nodded, grabbing the keys. Sure, which one? He handed me the paperwork. I glanced at it and felt my stomach drop. It was the dealership I hadn't checked yet. "Is something wrong?" my boss asked. I shook my head. "Nah, it's fine. I'm on it." For the whole drive over, I was a mess of nerves. What if I saw him? What if I didn't? I pulled into the dealership, parked the car, and headed to the office to drop off the paperwork. As I waited for the manager, I heard a familiar voice. "Chris, I can't believe it's you, dude." I turned around, and there was Tommy grinning like he'd won the lottery. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice neutral. "Long time no see." "Man, I've been kicking myself for not getting your number that night," he said, stepping closer. "You free for lunch? We have a lot to catch up on." I hesitated, remembering the girl at the grocery store, but damn it, I wanted answers. "Yeah, sure," I found myself saying, "I'm basically done for the day." As we walked out together, I couldn't help but think that maybe there was more to this story than I thought. Lunch with Tommy felt like we picked up right where we left off at the festival. We talked, laughed, and I found myself falling for him all over again. "I can't believe we ran into each other like this," Tommy said, his eyes locked on mine. I nodded, but the image of him with that girl still nagged at me. Yeah, pretty crazy. After lunch, Tommy invited me over to his place. Against my better judgment, I agreed. At his apartment, we played video games and talked for hours. Every time his hand brushed mine, I felt that same spark from the festival. Finally, Tommy turned to me, his expression serious. "Chris, I've got to be honest, I haven't stopped thinking about you since that night." Before I could respond, he leaned in and kissed me. For a moment, I lost myself in it. Then, reality came crashing back. I pulled away abruptly. "Wait, what about your girlfriend?" Tommy looked at me, confused. "What girlfriend?" "The one I saw you with at the grocery store a few weeks ago," I said, standing up. "You looked right through me, man." Tommy's face scrunched up in confusion. "Chris, I swear I don't have a girlfriend, and I definitely didn't see you at any grocery store." "Don't lie to me," I snapped, heading for the door. I can't believe I fell for this again. As I stormed out, leaving a bewildered Tommy behind, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't adding up. But I was too hurt and angry to stick around and figure it out. Little did I know, the truth was about to hit me like a ton of bricks. The next day, I was still stewing over what happened with Tommy when my boss called me in. "I need you to make another delivery to that dealership," he said. I groaned internally but nodded, "Sure thing." At the dealership, I kept my head down, hoping to avoid Tommy. I handed over the paperwork to someone else and was about to bolt when I heard his voice. "Chris, wait up." I turned, ready to tell him off, but the words died in my throat. There was Tommy, but next to him was Tommy. "What the fuck?" I muttered, blinking hard. The Tommy on the left stepped forward. "Chris, I think there's been a huge misunderstanding. This is my twin brother, Thomas." Thomas waved, a girl by his side. "Hey, you must be the Chris my brother won't shut up about." My jaw dropped. Twin brother? But at the grocery store, Thomas's girlfriend chimed in. "Oh, that was probably us. Sorry, we didn't see you." Tommy stepped closer, his eyes pleading. "I told you I didn't have a girlfriend, Chris. I've only been interested in you since the festival." The pieces started falling into place. The identical looks, the confusion, the girl at the store. I felt like an idiot. "Fuck, Tommy, I'm so sorry," I said, running a hand through my hair. I saw Thomas and thought. Tommy cut me off with a kiss right there in the middle of the dealership. When we broke apart, he was grinning. "So now that we've cleared that up," he said, "how about that second date?" I couldn't help but laugh. "Yeah, I think I owe you that much." As we made plans, with Thomas and his girlfriend chuckling nearby, I realized that sometimes life's misunderstandings can lead to the best surprises. That night, Tommy picked me up for our official second date. As we drove, I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of it all. "What's so funny?" Tommy asked, glancing over at me. "Just thinking about how we got here," I said. "A spilled drink, a forgotten number, and a twin mix-up. It's like a bad rom-com." Tommy chuckled, reaching over to squeeze my hand. "Well, I'm glad it worked out in the end." He pulled into a parking lot, and I recognized the neon sign immediately. A bowling alley. Seriously. "Hey, I'm a simple guy," Tommy grinned. "Plus, I figured we could use some lighthearted fun after all the drama." Inside, we got our shoes and picked out balls. As we played, we talked about everything and nothing, just like at the festival. It felt right, like we'd known each other forever. "You know," I said, lining up my shot, "I still have that t-shirt you gave me." Tommy raised an eyebrow. "Oh yeah, I was wondering where that went." I bowled a strike and turned back to him with a smirk. "Maybe you'll get to see it again sometime." He pulled me in for a quick kiss. I'm counting on it. As the night went on, I realized that the easy conversation, the laughter, the chemistry, was what I'd felt that first night at the festival. Only now, there were no misunderstandings, no missed connections, just us. Later, as Tommy drove me home, I felt content in a way I hadn't in a long time. So Tommy said as we pulled up to my place, "Think you might want to do this again sometime." I leaned over and kissed him, soft and slow. "Definitely, but next time, let's leave the evil twin at home, yeah." Tommy laughed, pulling me in for another kiss. "Deal." As I watched him drive away, I couldn't help but smile. Who knew that a spilled drink at a music festival would lead to this? Sometimes, life's little fuck-ups turn out to be the best things that can happen to you.